A global namaste, greetings, and a warm hello to all the lovely people across the world. We are truly delighted to welcome our special guest for the incredible Indians, for those who made a mark for themselves, those who are the global icons, and we are truly honored and blessed to have them here. Lovely friends, in a world of today, where perception is regarded as more important than substance, we all try and focus on magnificent perceptions. But the man who made it become a reality, who truly made it possible, who believed in his dreams, a man who wanted to save rupees 10 lakhs for his children in Canada, and who ended up with his bank balance of $100,000 in a span of 3 years. How did this all happen? You have to meet the gentleman. He's a trailblazer. May we please welcome the founder and CEO of Sigma Group of Companies, which spans into real estate, financing, hospitality, marketing services, health, wellness, and the IT sector. May we please welcome the very intelligent and the philanthropist and IITian with BTech in Electronics Engineering, Andy. Oof. Mr. Arjun Jasuja. A wholehearty welcome to you, dear sir.
Simranji, good morning, good evening to you as well as to your viewers. The introduction you gave me, I hope I can live up to some of those claims that you made for me. So I'm honored. I'm truly honored to be with you this evening.
The glow on your face says it all. I'm going to begin your absolutely brilliant story, from a place that you come from. You come from a very small place. And from there, to really pursuing your dreams to become an IIT engineer. Please tell us about that space. How was life then?
So Simranji, as you know, I am from Katni, Madhya Pradesh. My life journey started in a refugee camp post-partition in 1950 at Katni, Madhya Pradesh. I was born in a very humble family with limited means, as most of the refugees were those days. And so my journey took me to Raghunathganj Primary Shala and Sadhuram Uchchatar Madhyamik Shala. Obviously, both of these were schools for my primary education and my secondary education. And obviously, I remember in my primary school, Raghunathganj Primary Shala, I used to sit on a jute mat. So it was a municipal school, and we did not have benches or we did not have chairs. So our teacher did have a chair, but that was the only chair we had in our class. And our teacher, I remember, also had a danda or bant, cane as you call it, so that if we did not do our homework or if we did not live up to his expectations, then he would give us a danda on our palms. So those were the days. And I have to tell you a very interesting story because you said I'm very smart, intelligent, and I don't know what else you said. Actually, I couldn't relate to any of that stuff because I will tell you in grade 1, I used to be called Patlu and my cousin used to be called Motu. So Patlu and Motu, and there was a class of about 50 students. And our teacher, I think his name was Ninhoria ji or somebody like that. So he will say, boys and girls, I think it was just boys maybe, whoever can write on their slate, those days, those you know what a slate is, like, you write with chalk. Whoever can write whoever can write from 1 to 100 can go home. So, and believe it or not, Simran, every time I will get maybe 10 canes on my palm because I could not write from 1 to 100 in grade 1. And fortunately for me, my cousin Motu His name is Bhagwan Das. He is still there in Katni. I hope he's hearing it. He also could not write it. So at least I had a company in Jagannathganj Primary Shala. And then eventually he will give us 10 of these and let us go home. Right? So that's where my journey started. And I was very fortunate. I was very lucky that in studies I was probably not that bad. So I ended up in Indian Institute of Technology, IIT BHU, for my electronics engineering education, which I finished from there. Then my journey, my fate brought me to Canada, to University of Waterloo, where I did my postgraduate degree in systems design engineering. After that, I went back to India because I had promised my parents that from in Canada, I will not marry a Gori. I will come back to India. By this time, by the way, I also must add another detail that when I was in fourth year of my engineering curriculum in IIT BHU, I got engaged to my beautiful to-be wife, Mamta. So when I came to Waterloo, when I came to Canada, I was engaged to her, but I was not married to her. And believe it or not, I had never seen Mamta. I only saw Mamta at the time of my wedding. So जब हस्त मिलाप होता है, you know what हस्त मिलाप is? Prior to just before your wedding, the Pandit ji ties your hands with the string. That's when I saw Mamta, and obviously I was awed because I had only seen her picture. But when I saw her, she was tremendously, a lot more beautiful than what I had seen or perceived her to be in the picture. So again, continuing my study, I came to Canada, went back to India, worked in Tata Consultancy Services. 2 years later, came back to Canada and worked in a computer company, then worked in a bank. And I have, by the way, lived and worked in 4 countries. Obviously, India, TCS. I have also lived and worked in Canada, where I am today. Then I have also lived and worked in Singapore. And I have also lived and worked in California. So you mentioned in your opening introduction that I had come to Canada to... So this is a true story. When I came to Canada, I used to miss India every day, Simran, day after day after day. So I said, I am going to make 10 lakh rupees because I had 2 daughters. So I said, for dowry of both of them, 5 lakhs each. And I am an IT graduate, so I'll be able to get a job anywhere. The moment my bank balance hit $100,000, now those days, $100,000 was exactly 10 lakh rupees. Because there was a rupee, a 10 rupee was $1. So that's why 100,000. So it was, and by the way, I just want to, with humility, I do want to correct you. It took me about 8 years to make $100,000. Right. So 8 to 10 years, because with those salaries, I could not make $100,000 in 3 years. So it took me about 10 years to make $100,000. So decided to resign and pack my bags, and I wanted to go back to India. In the meantime, as the fate would have it, I get a job from Singapore, teaching as a teaching stint as a professor. And I said, being a Baniya that I am, as you know, I'm a Sindhi Baniya, I said, okay, I have money for my children, but I don't have anything for my retirement. So what I did, I said, let me do this contract in University of Singapore teaching, and I'll make some money for my own retirement. So that's how I end up in Singapore. When we went to Singapore, from Singapore, I got an opportunity to go to India quite a few times. And then my fever or my attraction towards India also waned down a little bit. because the reality sets in. So one of the principles in life that I have learned is that when you go away from a place, you only remember good things of that place. And all the other distortion or noise you forget. So when I got closer to India, I started missing Toronto again. I started missing the good things of India. So we decided in 2.5 years to come back to Canada again. So I'm back to Canada. And as you know, in Canada, the winters are harsh. So this time, once again, I was shoveling the snow of one particular winter. And I said, yeah, this is not what I signed up to. I said, where do I want to go now? I want to go to California. So what do I do? Once again, I get a job in California and I go and work in Silicon Valley. And I work in, believe it or not, in a video telephone company. Now, this is early 90s. I don't know whether you noticed or not, the Zoom stock yesterday went up by 40%. Just in one day, the Zoom stock zoomed up, shot up by 40% in one day. And obviously, I don't even know how many thousands of percentage it has gone up during this COVID timeframe. But yesterday in one day, it shot up by 40%. So those days, about 28 years ago, I was working in Silicon Valley in a video telephone company as a software engineer. Obviously, as it happens that most of the companies or a lot of companies in Silicon Valley do not see the market. They go under. Some succeed, a lot of them don't. So I was in one of those companies. So one of my small failures or challenges, if you might say. So what do I do again from Singapore? I come back to Toronto once again in early 90s. And this time I start not working for a company, but working for myself as a consultant, as an IT consultant. And that was the start of Sigma Group of Companies. And since then, all I can tell you, Simran, that God has been extremely kind, extremely kind to me. Now, we are in a number of fields, not only technology, not only information technology, but God has been kind to us that we are in technology, finance, real estate, hospitality, etc., etc. And it's all God's grace.
Wow. So I'm going to pick up a few points here and speak to you and ask you about, at first you have a very good taste and very good intuition. The fact that also goes for your personal life, that you never saw your wife before you actually tied a knot. So you are so strong-headed, you exactly know, and you probably have the beliefs. And of course, your beliefs turn into actions just the way you think. So right from 1994, as the founder and chairman of the Sigma Group of Companies, which is based in Toronto, Canada, which is a global conglomerate of companies spanning across technology, real estate development, hospitality, financing, investments, and of course, the IT. Now, this is where your entire entrepreneurship started, and everything that you did was into all the different endeavors. How did you get this faith? Is it that you believe that it's better not to just get into one arena, that's the IT sector, and to rather be in every arena so that, at one point of time, because we all know about the industry and of course the roundabouts that you take. So why did you try and venture into everything? Is it that everything clicked into place, or you had so much of expertise in every arena?
No. So Simran, I will give you a very, very honest answer. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. Actually, I would not even say a doctor. I probably wanted to be a nurse. I will tell you why. So when I was in secondary school, I would bunk my classes. I will run up to the local hospital and I will help the compounder there. As you know, the nurses are called compounders in India, right? I will help the compounder actually do the bandages on people that came there with wounds and so on and so forth. And I loved it. So I wanted to become a doctor. When I was in grade 10 or 11, I went to my teacher and I said, I want to be a doctor. And he says, Arjun, but you didn't take biology in grade 9. Because if you want to be a doctor, you have to choose biology in grade 9. But since I was in a small town, Katni, awareness wasn't there. I did not have guide and mentors. And even our teachers were obviously too busy teaching too many kids. So I missed biology. And so by accident, so what used to happen, by the way, in Katni and in small towns, the teacher decides what curriculum he's going to give to who. Because most of the kids don't have this awareness that kids have today, that I want to be this. So I had no idea. And those days, as I understood, in fact, I asked my teacher, I said, why did you guys give me physics, chemistry, math rather than biology? They said, those days, the top ranking students got PCM. The second to that got biology. And then obviously they'll give arts and commerce and so on and so forth. I don't know whether that is the case anymore or not, but the teacher would decide what curriculum you were going to make a profession in. So I ended up in engineering. So once again, what I'm trying to tell you that many, many things in my life have not been my choice. Okay. Now, so I became engineer by accident. Then obviously, when I was in IIT BHU, I was an average student. So those days, the priority of engineering curriculum went like this. The topmost branch was chemical engineering in that year. The second topmost branch was mechanical engineering, then electrical engineering, and then civil engineering. Okay? So chemical, mechanical, electrical, and civil. With my marks in second year, I was given civil engineering, obviously. So you can imagine how smart I must have been because I had the least. Then in the reshuffle, in the next 2-3 weeks, I sort of made it to electrical engineering. Okay, good for me that I was at least got one promotion, electrical engineering. In third year, I meet with a railway accident. So I meet with a railway accident where I lose 2 fingers of my left hand. Okay. So I lose 1 ear. I lose an entire ear. There's a reason why I'm stating the story to you the way I am. Because I'm talking about challenges, because who does not have challenges in life? Okay. Challenges are our foundation. So when I lose that 1 year in IIT BHU, after that, Simran, I go from an average student to topping the university, entire engineering college, by the way. So, and the reason that happened is because now you have to roll up your sleeves, Arjun. You cannot have, you have to take life seriously. You have to take your career seriously. It happens. We are all like that, right? Most of the time we want to have fun. We used to play Flash, Teen Patti, stay up in the nights and all that stuff. Did everything that people in the hostel do. So lost 1 year, but came to the top of the class. And one more important thing happened, Simran. The electronics engineering was born that particular year at BHU. Now, this is a totally new branch that comes out of nowhere. And electronics engineering now supersedes chemical, mechanical, electrical, and anything, right? You can understand. So only the best of the best will get into electronics engineering. And guess who had the first right of getting into electronics?
I know it. It's Arjun Jasuja. Now tell me what happened at that point of time when you met with the accident, being on the hospital bed or the home bed for a year span. What was there in your mind? I mean, you did say that, of course, you knew it, that you have to really pull up your sleeve and anyhow you have to get it. And of course, this happened for the best, because otherwise you would have never gotten to electronics engineering. But please tell me, what did you actually go through and how did you overcome that particular situation at that point of time?
So I want you to understand two things. First of all, I went from civil to electronics. I want your viewers to understand. I went from the least desirable branch to the most desirable branch, not my doing. Right? I hope you understand and your viewers understand, not really my doing. Somebody else is playing this chess with me, right? With my life. So what happened to my, earlier on, Simran, you were telling me that you believe in Radha Swami. And so when my accident happens, I fell from the train and my two fingers were gone instantly. At that point, all I remembered is Radha Swami. I'm sharing that with you because that's exactly, I had that image. I'm not Radha Swami, by the way. I am not Radha Swami, but I have believed in Radha Swami. At that point, when the train was going, probably, all I remembered is Radha Swami. So some Shakti, some power, call it nature, okay? Radha Swami is just a name, okay? I mean,
divine love, yeah, it could be anything.
It's just a name. I mean, Arjun is just a name.
Power.
Yeah, we are neither this body nor this name, nothing. You understand that. So there was some calling, there was somebody who was there to saying, Arjun, get up. And I got up. By the way, in spite of two fingers, I got up. I spent the rest of the night with morphine injections in the railway clinic, all night. And obviously, the only thing on my mind at that time was, by the way, that, geez, I'm an engineer. How will I pass my engineering with this hand? So believe it or not, my total mind was saying, I mean, obviously first I want to get better. And, but then when I pass my engineering, if somebody will give me a 600 rupees job, I'll be a king. So basically, you see, you always go to the lowest denomination of needs, right? You know the Maslow's theory of motivational norms, right? Very first thing we worry about is our physical existence, right? And then we keep on building there's no end to our, needs and desires and possibilities. Did I answer your question? You were saying how, so basically how I took up this challenge is, there are two, anytime you have a challenge, Simran, you have two options. One, up toot jao, you give up. You says, you start crying and you sort of, and the other thing is, no, you say, no, I have to make the best of the situation. I have to believe in the power of now, okay? And God, when you help yourself, God also helps you. In fact, God has already made us so limitless that we ourselves are the only ones who define our boundaries. God has not defined any boundaries for us. So I want to tell your viewers that no matter who you are, no matter where you are, if I can do it, so can you. I mean, imagine the world will come to you. But obviously, every step along the way, you have to be realistic with those dreams, realistic with those demands. Rome was not built in a day. Andy Jasuja did not come this far in a day. It took us many, many years. It's a long journey. It's a beautiful journey. And you were saying, how did I think of real estate, hospitality, this and all this stuff? Was I visionary? No, absolutely not. My vision, I can only see this far, by the way, at any time. I wish I could tell you, Simran, I'm very visionary. But when I was doing a job, at that point, I was such a good software programmer. Now, this you might say is my ego, that when I was programming, I really thought I'm one of the best programmer that ever existed. And I said, nobody will be able to pay me enough money for my worth. So yes, there is an ego. I'm sorry to state it bluntly, but no, and there is a reason why I'm saying that, because programming was my passion, software. Now, did I know when I was in Raghunath Primary Shala or Sadharam High School that programming is my passion? So your vision also becomes clearer as you take turns, Simran, right? When you were a young child, did you know that you will become a celebrity anchor? I don't know. Maybe you were.
Not a bit. I didn't even know what MC meant. So yeah, it was out of question.
Did you know that you will become a yoga teacher? Did you know that you will become a Navratri queen or whatever you are? So for somebody to tell you that I'm a visionary to know all this stuff, no, I take one step at a time. And obviously, in fact, whoever I am today and whatever I am today, I have the least amount of hand in it. In fact, my family, environment, Canadian social environment, my schooling system, my friend, everybody has a hand in it, right? And every step along the way, I try to put my best foot forward. And that is my humble request to your viewers, that if you want to be an entrepreneur, be your best. Find your Ikigai. And I want your viewers to read up on Ikigai. It's a Japanese concept, Ikigai, okay? Ikigai is, and passion is not the direct translation of it. Passion is part of it.
Oh.
Okay, passion is just one part of it. Okay, so Ikigai is a component of four things. You have to love what you do. You have to be good at what you do. So supposing I love singing, but if I'm not good at singing, it cannot be my Ikigai. Like Ikigai, it cannot make me money, because the money part has to be there. And when I say, don't take this in a negative way, because when we are trying to find our Ikigai, in order for our survival, monetary compensation is a must, right? Whatever, especially in the early stages of life. Right now, if I tell you my Ikigai is music, it can be, because even though I don't make money at music, but I'm not depending on music to make my living.
You made a fortune. You're our business tycoon. So, of course, you can go ahead and follow your Ikigai, for sure.
Yeah, but my Ikigai, I'm a businessman at heart. So this, did I know that before? No, I did not know. I worked in the professional careers. I was working in banks. I was working in software companies. I did quite well. I was lucky. I worked very hard, and I did quite well. But it was not my Ikigai. I said, no, I want to make a software company, as that's where I will shine. So the first, when I formed Sigma Group, it was in the software development arena. And I also wanted to develop or create a software product company. So that vision, once again, I want to give myself the credit for it, that I wanted to create a software company. After that, to be very honest with you, once you make your first innings in the business or making money and so on and so forth, things unfold to you. The diversification strategy, like how I got into real estate, I have probably sold about 6 or 7 or 8 IT companies, okay, in my life. And each one of them, I have been very lucky. I have been very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. And whatever money I made from the information technology or technology, then I diversified in other areas of business, which is the right business, I guess, teaching anybody will give you. So I have been lucky for the most part.
So we're going to talk about entrepreneurship for sure, because that's your forte. But right now, I want to know that how did you raise millions of dollars, from the major venture capital and the private equity firms, where you were, there as a part of them, including, the Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Myers, the Morgan Stanley, the Redwood Ventures, Cisco, and Birch Hill Equity Partners. So at that point of time, how did you identify them? Is it only intelligence, the statistics which really work, or is it something got to do with your intuition, power, and experience as well? So what really works better at that point of time, especially for people who really have started their careers a few years down the line, and they are in this dilemma to listen to your heart, your intuition, or to actually be very calculative? What really works?
Simran, I could write a big book on all my journey. I must compliment you, the questions you are asking me. I could write a few chapters on answering each one of your questions. But we don't have that much time. We really don't have that much time. And so I'll give you a short answer. How did I pick Kleiner Perkins and Morgan Stanley and all these big companies? So first of all, for the benefit of your viewers, Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield Myers is the world's best venture capital company. Like they are numero uno. They are not even 1.5. They are number one. When I started Sigma Systems Group, I come from a business family, as you know. I never wanted any partners. I never wanted any investors. So I did not want to raise money at all. Okay. So one of my customers, Excite at Home, they were a big ISP, Internet Service Provider, public limited company. The president of that company called me. I'm talking about, this is the prior to .com arena or just after .com arena, right? Prior to 2000, around 98, 99. I get a call from Adam Grosser, who is the president of Excite at Home, my customer in Sigma Systems. And he says he wants to invest money in Sigma. So I said, I'm actually not looking for any investment. So he said, but why are you not looking for investment? I said, I'm actually cash flow positive. So why do I need to raise money? He said, but can I come and actually meet with you? I said, absolutely. You're more than welcome. So what I thought, let Adam come to Toronto and I will try to sell him more services. I'm not going to let him invest in my company, but I can always, there's no problem meeting with him. I had a partner in this business, a very good friend of mine, Vasu Chanchalani. Unfortunately, he's no more. So Vasu and I are discussing over coffee, and Vasu says, what if Adam comes and offers you $10 million? I said, I'm not going to sell it for $10 million. Okay, he says, $10 million, I'm out. So I said, let Adam come anyways, right? So Adam Grosser comes. It was a Friday. We are sitting in the Sigma boardroom and we are sitting like across the table from each other. And Adam says, Andy, why do you not want me to invest in your company? I said, Adam, I'm developing some products. And do you know the hockey stick philosophy? Because when you develop a new product, first you lose money. So you go like this, negative, and then the curve goes up. I said, I'm in the negative side of this curve. So what multiple of my profits will you offer me that this will make sense to me? So therefore, I don't want any investment. Believe it or not, actually, Simran, he said, Andy, I was thinking of $200 to $600 million for this company. Believe it or not, actually, I sort of tried to feel the ground. I said, okay, am I still on the ground? Like from this side. But maintaining keeping the poker's eye contact, I looked Adam in the eyes and I said, Adam, unless we are at the top end of that range, we are actually not talking. I won't be interested. So Adam says, okay, so if we offer you 600 million, you're out. I said, I will definitely, if you offer me 600 million, I will seriously consider.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Oh my God, yeah.
For my Canadian viewers, I want them to understand this, that those days, this is 600 million US, and Canadian dollar those days was around 60 cents US. So this translated into $1 billion for Vasu and me, for Sigma. And my revenue at that time was $5 million Canadian revenue. Okay. So you can understand what kind of days we are talking about. Adam goes and talks to his chairman, TJ. And he called me on Sunday. And he said, we are on. I said, great. He says, send us the financials. So at that time, we didn't even have proper books done. There's nothing. I was operating this company because I had no other external investors. It was all our company. So I was not answerable to anybody. So we did not even have our financial reports, this and all this stuff in a proper format. So we prepared the financials, we sent it to them, and a few iterations happened, this and that, and all that stuff. And suddenly the whole thing died out. Nothing happened. The offer did not come. I met Adam a few months later. I was talking about for dinner. I said, Adam, what happened? Why did the offer not come? You guys, he says, no, we were all totally sold. We wanted to buy the company. Now, I might you once again for you and for your viewers. Couple of weeks before this, when Adam made me this offer, they had bought a greeting card company with no revenue for $1.2 billion. So 600 million is half that price for a revenue generating and profit generating company. Those days was fine. Those days, Simran, I had about 100 people in Sigma, and those days, every IT person in an IT company, in terms of when the companies were valued, every IT person in your company was valued at $1 million. So let's say people will make the deal and they say, listen, at the time of closing, we'll count the number of IT staff and multiply by 1 million each. That's one component of the value. And a lot of companies will, from the time of the deal to the closing time, they will hire 50 people and increase their value by 50 million. It was unrealistic times. Okay. Anyways, the offer did not come through. So, in fact, I almost made $1 billion. I'm just telling you. That's what I'll tell you. But it did not happen. But guess what? The Excite at Home, about a couple of years later or a year later, they went under. So they were gone. So if I had actually sold my company to them, now, in all likelihood, even if I had sold my company to them, first of all, I would have been paid in stock, but I would have probably diversified a lot of that into cash. I would have somehow done that. But imagine if I had kept all of that stuff in stock, I would have been worth, from a billionaire, I would have gone to zero.
Oh my God.
And that can happen in the stock market. That would not have been the first time that happened. Am I answering your question? I don't even know what the question was and where we are.
No, it doesn't matter. But I'm with you. I'm sailing with you. And, right now what I'm thinking is that all I want is a cup of coffee at your place. Andy Jasuja, I really love that cup You Can Win by Shiv Khera. And I know for a fact that you did a brilliant session with him, a brilliant talk show with him a couple of weeks back. How was that? Now tell us. Your story is very inspiring, and I genuinely have no idea whether it's one's intuition which works, or is it that we are sailing in some boat, or is it some higher divine love, some reality which drives you towards taking some decision. But what do you have to say about the session you had and the lovely tasty coffee that you're enjoying?
Shiv Khera is a very good personal friend of mine. The very first time I met him was one of my very, very dear friends, Vivek Tankha, who's, by the way, a very recognized name in India. Vivek Tankha, by the way, in Times Magazine, he was the Advocate General of Madhya Pradesh, the youngest Advocate General of a state. He's now a member of parliament in Delhi. He was also the additional Solicitor General of India. A very, very good personal family friend. Vivek and I know each other from Jabalpur. I'm from Jabalpur. Vivek brought Shiv Khera to one of my kids' weddings in Jabalpur. So that's when we became friends. And after that, I have hosted Shiv Khera a couple of times. Most recently, I hosted him 2 months ago, actually, a couple of months ago. And this was because of COVID, it was a virtual event. Simran, you would not believe that when I hosted him less than 2 years ago in Canada at the Chamber of Commerce here, I could only accommodate 500 people. But this time, there are tens of thousands of people, and I don't even have a count of how many people have benefited from my friend's talk on how to turn setbacks into comebacks during COVID time. It's on the net. You should watch this talk that Shiv gives. Shiv is a very genuine person, and he spoke from his heart, and he's a great motivator. I would highly recommend your viewers to by the way, read up on Shiv Khera and watch Shiv Khera. He'll do wonders for you. I have learned a lot from Shiv, and as you said, actually, that I think you were saying, is it the divine or something like that? I believe divine has already made us, the God made us, and God has made us limitless. It's just that we have to awaken that limitless within us. See, most of us, what do we try to do? We try to compare ourselves with our surroundings, which is extremely limited. If Arjun's surroundings, how many people can I relate to, or can I become friends with? Normally, we compete with only our concept. And then if we are better, let me take the example of singing, because that's a very easy one for me, because I have studied that.
Yeah. Tell us more about this. Yeah.
So I'm a singer, as you know. I'm a very passionate singer. So if I compare myself with my group of singers, if I am better than them, it gives me ego. It gives me satisfaction. यार मैं इनसे अच्छा गाता हूँ. If I am worse than somebody, then it gives me, frustrates me कि I'm not worth nothing. Achha, by the way, this doesn't happen to me, but I'm talking about in general, we compare ourselves with our surroundings and rate ourselves. Either we are great or we are no good. Totally wrong. अगर आपको compare करना है, if you want to compare yourself, compare with only thyself. Compare with only your past. If Simran compares with Andy and thinks that you are a better anchor than Andy, so what? Simran should compare Simran with Simran. Say, मैं कल कैसी थी और मैं कल कैसी रहूंगी. As long as today I'm better than yesterday, that's great. So once again, I want to tell your viewers that make yourself, your antarman, your limitless, okay, and your past as your darpan, as your mirror, and try to do better and better and better, rather than
This is interesting. I'm going to definitely thank you for giving us, those beautiful, success mantras and your success stories in a very subtle way. Now, I want to know, you do tremendous philanthropic work. Where does that come from? I think that doesn't really go, by being a business tycoon and a great entrepreneur. It's not essential to be, so humble and, really be extremely, active, in the philanthropic work with that humbleness. You can also do philanthropic work without being humble. Where does this humbleness come from?
So let's talk about two questions there: humbleness and charity or philanthropy, right? If at all you find me humble, I am humble because I'm nobody. Honestly, I deep down in my heart, I know that I'm nobody. I'm very ordinary, I'm very insecure, I'm very and मुझे नहीं लगता है कि I have done this. I mean, yes, from worldly rating point of view or recognition point of view, when you generate some wealth, people translate that into success for you and call you successful. Okay, so maybe from worldly recognition point of view, if at all I'm successful, but even that, I believe, that has happened because of the environment I am in, because of the people I am with, because of my timing, because of social environment, because of so how can I take credit for something that I have not done? So because, as you say, money is haath ka mail hai, paisa. So if it is there today, tomorrow it may not be there. So I think. Secondly, I learned music. I have been learning music for a long period of time. All my life I have been learning music, to be honest with you. Even to date, I learn music. I take 3 classes a week in music. And हम म्यूजिक में 7 या 12 सुर होते हैं, राइट? 7 सुरों की सरगम बनती है. And your teacher says, always be aware of your सा. सा को कभी नहीं छोड़ना है, राइट? So मैं हिंदी में क्लास लेता हूं तो मुझे हिंदी का पता है, बट इंग्लिश में whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So what is it called? I mean, you probably know.
No, yeah. But I mean, I know more about Sare Gama, but it's Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Do, La, Ti.
तो सा को आप जीवन में कहीं भी, म्यूजिक में आप कितने भी मास्टर बन जाएं, श्रेया घोषाल बन जाएं, कुछ भी बन जाएं, सा को नहीं छोड़ना है आपने. तो मेरे जीवन का सा क्या है? मेरे जीवन का सा है कटनी. मैं कहां से आया हूं, तो मैं उसको कभी नहीं भूल सकता. So even now, when I go to India, I go to Katni, and believe it or not, I go to Raghunathganj Primary Shala, and I go to Sadhu Ramachandra Madhyamik Shala, saying, Arjun, this is your beginning. This is where you come from. So you, in order to be grounded, you have to connect with your roots, and you have to stay with your roots. One of my very good friends, if I can call him a friend, because I haven't actually seen him for years, Vitthal Kamath, who's the Kamath group of restaurants. And
absolutely, yeah.
Vitthal and I were together in Jindal Naturopathy in Bangalore years ago.
Okay.
Vitthal would come to my cottage, by the way, all the time, because I'm a singer. He used to love music. He would say, Arjun, Gana gao, ye vagara vagara. He became a good friend. But he would carry a chappal with himself from years ago. And every now and then he wears that chappal to remind himself कि मैं कौन हूं. Okay. So you see, these are all the learnings that and I remember this. This is years ago. This is maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. I'm talking about. Vittal and I have not, we are not in touch for the last 5, 10 years. I haven't seen him. But I'm saying that actually these are the kinds of, so mera sa jo hai, my root jo hai, is Katni camp. But so that's what grounds me. And secondly, I don't think I have done it. So if I have not done it, how can I take credit for it? दूसरा आपने बोला charity के बारे में, philanthropy. Whatever we get in this world, it actually doesn't belong to us. We are just a custodian. We have just been given, हमको भीख मिली है, right? हमको मिला है. We happen to be temporary custodian, trustee, if you will, of that material wealth or whatever. Belongs to the nature, so we have to give it back to the nature. I sincerely believe in Mother Teresa's philosophy of charity begins at home. So first person I want to be charitable to is my family. Everybody does it for family. But then I also believe in a concept called sphere of happiness. मैं अगर बहुत selfish हूं तो my sphere of happiness is just Arjun Jasuja. If I'm a little more generous than that, my kids and my wife come into that. If I'm a little more generous than that, my extended family comes into that. And then it keeps on going. So I believe in expanding my sphere of happiness, my sphere of approach. So if God has been kind to me, I have shared those winnings or shared that wealth with my extended family and community in general. But Simran, I will be the first one to admit that I'm not very philanthropic. I could do, compared to what I should do, I do very little. I could do lot more. And the reason I'm saying that on this media is to remind myself that Arjun, you can do more. We can all do more.
Beautiful.